Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Iman Show. My name is Iman, and I'm so glad to see you again. As you know, Mondays are emotional and mental health topics. We started a little bit late. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to find out when is the best time for us to go and have our talks, like the show, our daily shows. We're going to give it a try for late afternoon or early evening for a while. Let's see how it goes. Thank you for watching me. Thank you for being here. It is an absolute honor to spend the next 90 minutes with you and have some chats about today's topic, which is imagination. If you watched the live video last night, we talked about different tricks that our brain use to sometimes mess up with our happiness. But at the end of the day, our brain is a useful tool. We just need to learn how to use it. Imagine you have the most expensive car ever, like a sport racing car, and you don't know how to use it. And the only thing that you use in this car is the stereo. So we all need to learn more. Thank you. And if you remember last Monday, we had beautiful guests who joined me, and we had this talk about their journey as this couple who worked in mostly emotional and spiritual health. I hope that they can join me today as well. As I see they're not here yet, but we have other guests. We will talk about imagination with them. And I'm still waiting to see if Sarah and Alex can join. And definitely we will be happy to hear their shares as well. Let's talk to our first guest. Thank you. Okay, our first guest declined the request that I sent. It's okay. And let's see who else is ready to join. Hello, hi, thank you so much. Let's see who are joining from where. We have a lot of friends from India. Online video, thank you. And okay, let's see. Okay. Vegas. Okay. Vegas. We have Vegas. We have England. Hello.
Hi. I did not think you were going to accept my request. How are you?
Hi. How are you? This is it. You never know when things gonna come.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for accepting. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining. How are you doing?
I am still working, but good. You?
Good. Good. Awesome. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Hira from New York to Florida, pretty much. I just moved to Florida, pretty new to this area. I am a public health major. I am doing my doctorate in public health as well. I work in a health organization as well. I'm doing my internship in public health as well. So all around, just public health major.
Public health. Honestly, public health was not a topic that many people already knew what actually is public health before pandemic. And
very much so.
Yes, since pandemic, now everyone is concerned about public health. There are sometimes pro or against public health decision and policies. And what exactly do you think about this?
Okay. In America, I mean, public health has been pretty bad originally. Personally, like from the textbook view, there's a lot of things, policy procedures were not followed. Quarantine wasn't followed originally for the pandemic actually coming out. The right way of doing things was not, it was bad. I wish that it was taken serious in the sense of actually being quarantined. A majority of the world that we live in right now, it's all about money at the end of it. So working from home, even pushing that idea was so hard that a lot of people were like forced to go into work. At least from New York standpoint, I've seen that happening a lot, where you would not be allowed to leave your job. You would have to go in. If you didn't go in, you get fired. Public health measures, it was like, okay, you could work a shorter shift, but they're not going to cover you for the rest of the hours. So a lot of people still force themselves to pick up those shifts to go in. Now, when it comes to the hospitals, it was bad too. There was no masks. So now they're reusing the same mask. That's bad. If you have first responders, you need to have that in place. You should get that first, because if you don't have doctors, you don't have nurses, how are you going to treat the same patients that are coming in? You're going to have a shortage. So public health-wise, the response teams that we have in place, they were really bad. Until now, they're quote-unquote getting AKA better, but they're really not. If you look at the vaccinations that are out there, okay, the booster, oh, that's the last one. But in reality, is it really the last one? Is the actual virus present inside of that booster? Or is it just telling you what you want to hear? It's really not. So public health-wise, it's
health
50-50. Some things are good, some things are bad.
And I think there are some facts about public health that we all need to review in our mind. That public health is not equal doctors. Public health is way bigger than doctors. It's about the health of a society, which like a lot of other sorts of decision makers are involved: politicians, economists, sociologists, and doctors are a tiny bit of, if they are doing anything in public health to make this. They just provide information, like maybe expert opinion, but the one who is making these decisions is not necessarily a doctor. Unfortunately, frontline workers are the one who are facing the public, and they are the one who are demand to be responsible for the public health decisions. But it's complicated, because public health is all about, as they call it public health, to see the greater good. Let's say they want good for everyone. But when it comes to individuals, it's understandable, reasonable that they don't think about the whole society. They think about the individual. So it's a tricky game to keep the balance between one patient and the whole society.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you really look at it, Dr. Fauci, when he gave his idea of like, hey, this is what's wrong, that's where the government was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. At that time when we had Trump, he was like, no, yeah, you're not going to listen to you. But that's the factor. It's like, if you hire someone to give an actual example of like what's going on, then they're giving you their feedback. This is what should be done. That should have been implemented. If it would have been implemented, a lot of people would have not died. A lot of people would not have lost their parents, their fathers, their uncles, sisters, or any of that. But we've seen everything happen. And then when it happened to an extreme, then they're like, oh, okay, let's hit the brakes here. Let's actually see what we can do. And that's a bad thing, because, okay, if we could have done that early, we would have saved so many people's lives. I get it. I mean, business-wise, I get it. You're losing out money. Business owners are not going to want to close down. But they're going to die. You're going to eventually have to close down too. If you would have taken that break, you would have had that person be able to come back in 8 months and then still work for you. Now they're dead. You closed down. Now you lost your business too.
Well, so I'm just sorry to interrupt, but as I like this is how imagination works, right? The topic is imagination. We are completely off topic, but this is how it works. It started with the sparkle in your brain, and then you are now in another world with all these, new thoughts. Let's get back to the topic about imagination. What do you think about that?
Imagination.
What is your take on that?
There's no limit. Sky's the limit. You can go as much as you want. You can think and believe. It's all about how you interpret things. So, for example, I like to draw. Sometimes I see certain things, but I want to draw it in a certain way just because of the fact that I view it that way. Or certain sentences, you can hear them and you're like, wait, but this means something different to me. It's all about how you're feeling, how you understand it, how you interpret it. So your imagination is limitless at the end of it. So you can think of it any way you want and how you want it. So it depends on, for example, as a kid, we imagine, hey, I want to grow up just like this person. But why? It's because we wanted to be something like that, or we desire to have that. So we imagine different things, different outcomes. It's also statistical, too, if you look at it. What other outcomes you want? How do you want it? What do you see in it? Imagination could be, sometimes it could be your inner desired thought that you want to bring it to life. So depending on how you put it on paper, depending on how you put it into words, pictures, depending on whatever you want to put it as. So imagination could be anything you want. That's how in artistry, different people, it's what their mind they're creating in their brain is what they're putting on paper or in live models or even what's it called? Architecture too. That's imagination at the end of it, because he thought of that idea, he brought it to life eventually because that's what he originally thought he wanted to do. Putting in and it goes in almost in everything if you really put it that way, because imagination, if you wanted to bring something to life, now you need manpower of different kind of people in different areas to make it happen. It's not just one way.
Yeah, you can create words with just your imagination. There is no limit. I love that one. Well, yeah, Hira, thank you so much for joining. It was nice to talk to you for the first time. Looking forward to talking to you again. Make sure you come back more often.
Thank you for having me.
We need to talk to we need to have a good talk about public health and all this misunderstandings going around these days.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thank you so much. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Alrighty. So we started our talk on about imagination. We talk about public health. We went to another word and came back, and this is the beauty of imagination. Let's see if my guests are here already. I think they are. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let me proudly introduce you to my beautiful friends. Hi.
Hey, Iman. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? What a beautiful image. Look at this.
Thank you.
It's always nice to see you guys together.
All cozy over here.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you again. So are you in Ontario, if I'm not wrong? You mentioned Ontario. Where exactly in Northern Ontario?
We're in Stouffville, so we're really close to downtown. We're about 40 minutes north of downtown. 45, 40.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're neighbors.
Yes.
We are neighbors,
Okay.
indeed.
Hey. So we should meet up sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yes, we should. Yes.
We do like a real live with all of us in the same space.
Same space, of course. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. It's an honor again to talk to you guys.
Oh,
And
this is fabulous. Yeah.
thank you. So today we're going to talk about imagination. And I have to admit that this is Sarah's proposal.
Yeah.
And I was just, of course, why not? Imagination? Let's do this. I mean, that's my thing. Let's do this. So let's begin, please. If you want to say hi to my friends, and go ahead. That's your space.
Of course. Hi to your friends, and I'm becoming our friends too. So hi, some of you we've met before. So you guys.
And if you leave a comment, I can pin your comment so people know, because they might.
That's fine. You want me to leave another one? I'll leave another one right now.
Okay,
Yes,
just say
Say
hi.
hello to everybody, and to the person that was just on, positive vibes. I loved what you were talking about. I love the whole philosophy about a boundless imagination.
Yes.
That is wild. That's exactly what we want to talk about tonight. Is the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, we were thinking about, like, we do ceremonies, so we do them once a month, and this month our topic is imagination. So we've been pretty immersed in that topic, and the reason I thought it would be a good one to bring to your audience as well is because I can't be the only person as an adult who may have these preconceived notions that maybe spending time in an imaginary world is a waste of time. Like, as an adult, you really feel the pressure of having to be on all the time and accomplishing something. And so if you're just going to be daydreaming, you're literally wasting your life away. Like, that's sort of the sense that I had at some point in my life. Even there are still days where I feel that way. It's like, oh my gosh, like,
I don't have time to be imagining.
I don't have time for this. Like, it's fake. It's make believe. But, in doing this work and the research and talking to people and even more so doing my own introspective research, you come up with these realizations. Like, imagination is absolutely one of the most fundamental things that we should be doing every day. Every day.
Well, without imagination, wouldn't you say there's no life? Like, there's no movement, there's no creation, there's
no creation.
There's nothing.
There's no creation.
Imagination is necessary for our survival,
yes.
Right?
As
for our
humans,
being, absolutely.
As humans,
Mm-hmm.
we've been given this gift that I believe. This is what they say, and I'm of the opinion that I don't know if this is true or not because I haven't talked to every animal and insect on the planet, but apparently humans are the only species who is provided with this amazing gift of being able to imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Iman, how often do you imagine? Do you find yourself imagining the minute you wake up? Are you imagining all day long? What's your routine when it comes to imagining?
Well. When I was a kid, I lived in a bubble of my imaginations. I lived through all my imaginations, and I created all. Not all about imaginary friends and stuff, but I see the world. I see things, and that's how I started writing my poetries. I feel that. So this is all about my imaginations that I try to explain the feelings of I imagine, and that's important. This is funny that most of the times, the first thing that someone asks me when they read my poem said, "Who did you write it for? Who is that lucky person that you write your poem for?" I imagine them. I imagine the one. I imagine if there is one that I am going to express my feeling to. Yes. This is the ideal love that I want to experience. I want to feel. That's how I start writing. So imagination is the powerful part of my, let's say, life as more like an artist or creator, and of course it is. But somehow I believe that imagination is a double-edged sword.
That's here.
Yeah, because when you talk about imagination, you talk about creation, new world. Of course, its possibilities are endless. But what if this imagination start working against us and bring us all the bad possibilities and all the horrible thoughts? And what if like this? What if you imagine that your best friend is cheating on you or betraying you? This is a double-edged sword. We need to control it, and we need to know how to tame this beast, and then we can capture it and have it to work for us. This is not, if you just leave it by itself, it probably can be dangerous, right?
Oh, you raise a fabulous point. The imagination works in the mindset of fear as well as it works in the mindset of joy and happiness and exuberation and all of these different mindsets. So no matter what mindset you find yourself in, you will be imagining. Mm-hmm. And you just pointed out that you use your imagination when you're creating poetry. Who am I actually expressing this to? What kinds of words are coming out of my mouth? Let's think back a few years before that, though. Let's actually think back to pre-med school. Before you went to med school, did you imagine going to med school? Did you imagine that at all? You must have in order for it to have happened, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I do. I still do. I see myself, when I have a goal. This is not my saying. It's for the Alchemist book. When you really wish for something, this is your deepest desire, if all the universe conspire to help you to get there, to reach your goal. And you need to leave it like the everyday thing. So of course I still do it when I imagine myself doing something. I keep imagining myself this, I don't know what they call it, like manifestation or law of attraction or 100 different names. The fact is that you live it before you get there. You feel it when, I mean, that's somehow why when I reach a target or reach a goal, I might smile, but I don't get super excited because I felt this before. The exact moment that I was imagining it, I lived that moment before. I said, "Yeah, okay, we did it. Yeah, okay, let's move on." This is
Before we got on, Iman, Sarah was telling me that when it comes to the imagination, we create twice, right? We create.
What I was telling you is everything in the world that was created by humans was created twice.
Mhm.
Everything. It was created once in the mind, and then it was manifested into creation.
Mhm.
But it has to be created in the mind before it's manifested. So the fact that and I'm saying we, I should say me, I don't allow myself to imagine enough or as often as I should. I find that so crazy. Like it's so sad because like you can literally change the outcome of your life by allowing more of that play, of that. It's almost like it allows you to become seduced by your life because you can create this picture in your head and really feel it and believe it. And so if you have that mindset and you're imagining these things, it ends up affecting the way you act. Because your thoughts will create your emotions. We know that, right? If you think something's sad, you're going to feel sad. If you think something funny, you might start smiling. So your thoughts will create your emotions. So if you're not in a good place, why not play with imagination so that you can change your thoughts, change your emotion. And once you change your emotion, which your emotion is what drives your actions, you're going to change your actions. So allow yourself that fun and that excitement and change your routine and the mundane by adding this element of imagination. But use it, as you were saying, use it for the things that make you feel alive, that make you feel happy, that make you feel expansive, that make you feel like you are loved, like you're showing up like the best person you could ever show up as. Imagine those things. And the more you feed that to yourself, to your soul, the more that's going to grow and it's going to come out like out of you energetically. It has to.
And it's interesting because there's a bit of a conundrum when it comes to imagination. We can use different parts of our minds to imagine. And, we can go through life living in the subconscious and living in the habits and the paradigms that we've created. And we can go through an entire day using our imagination in the most boring of ways.
Or depressing of ways.
The most ordinary of ways. And yet we've been gifted this faculty that hardly any other animal on the planet has, this ability to be able to create thought. And I'd like to challenge everyone that's listening right now to actually substitute the word imagination for possibility. And when we do that, when we think about possibilities, we're like, oh, that's worth thinking about. A little bit different, doesn't it? So the conundrum is, why don't we actually use the subconscious and the conscious mind? Why don't we wake up and do the things that our body is meant to do, heal itself, live in harmony, and then use that conscious faculty of imagination to be able to move ourselves in the directions that we truly want to move, in empowering directions, in directions that help serve humanity. And so this is the mistake that we make, is that we ignore the ability to be able to use both of these facets of the mind, put them together, and accomplish unbelievable things.
But the ego that you just mentioned, and you also mentioned, Man, that is a very important component, as he was saying, so that you don't get lost along the way. It's it's important to, it's like, as we said last time we were here, you have an ego. You got to work with it. It's not going anywhere. You can do all the work you want. You're human. You're here, okay? But the ego can be your bestie. It can be awesome. And so, allow your imagination to lead you on the paths that are of service, that are of beauty, of sharing, of community, of all of those aspects.
Well, when you marry the imagination with compassion, when you marry the imagination with love, yes, what you can create becomes magnificent, exquisite, colorful, beyond our expectations. And this is, Iman, you raised such a beautiful point that the imagination can be a dual-edged sword. And so this is why it's so important to live in a state of gratitude, to experience the states of love, and to use our imaginations in those states. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that we can't use the imagination when we're fearful. I think that it's actually an interesting concept. I think that there's a way to be able to investigate, to understand our fears, to understand what troubles us, and to use our imagination to begin to move us out of those situations and those circumstances. So I would say that the imagination is useful no matter what mindset you're in. But if you really want to create, and you want to create joy and wonder and all these things, then you know intuitively where that state of mind needs to come from in order to create in that likeness. And it's like an artist. An artist can paint with anything. We can paint with paint. We can paint with mud if we like. We can paint with anything we want. Same thing with the imagination. We can create out of any state of mind. It's like a different materials at every moment. It's absolutely wonderful. And so there's no wrong or right when it comes to how we imagine. It's what we do with it, how we pursue it, how we investigate it.
The pursuing of it is.
I think that's the magic in the imagination. Yeah.
Well, you guys mentioned a couple of things. I just wanted to talk more about that. The creation that you mentioned about imagination, that everything is created twice. I believe, and it's not just my belief, that not necessarily the one who creates something in their imagination is the one who is going to create it in the physical form. When you create something in your imagination, it most likely you find it because it's there in the word that on my language we call it the word of meaning, alam ma'na, right? There is this concept there. You find it in your imagination. If you can reach it and you can bring it into this word, that would be super. The one that creates it, you are the devil creator. But I read this story about Michael Jackson, which was so amazing to me, that he called his producer one night, like after midnight, and he said, "We need to go to the studio. I need to record some Playboy, some music." It was 3 a.m., like 2 a.m., and the guy said, "Oh, okay, so it's okay. I mean, this is one of his most famous tracks, and we can do it tomorrow morning. Let's do this tomorrow morning." He said, "No. If we wait until tomorrow morning, Prince is gonna sing. Prince is gonna do this instead." And that's how he was a firm believer. Okay, so I catch it. I'm gonna do this now. This is part of the creation of like the artistic point of view, but still, I believe that imagination is like a dragon or like a double-edged sword, and if you if you unleash it without control, it can burn your life down. Like with all this, let's say, as you mentioned about the fear, because fear, as I believe, is one of the illusions against our happiness. We do our actions not based on fear. Fear just, I believe fear has it doesn't serve us at all. But when you fear from a shadow, your imagination starts to work. And this shadow or just this movement of a bush could be just a bird, but now you're imagining tigers, not just one, maybe 10. Now I'm done. I'm surrounded by tigers or like by beasts. And if you let the imagination rule your world without controlling it. It can be some, and it's not just about the, like the physical fear, emotional fears. So if someone doesn't respond to your text immediately, you start imagining what they're doing and how they, that's, it's part of the prediction assumption game, which I still trying to figure out what is the difference between like prediction or assumption or imagination. I hope that we can find this fine line between positive and, I believe, not so positive imagination.
The imagination is one of your 6 higher levels of
your higher
faculties, but it's part of your subconscious mind. So, the parts where you're saying you're walking and there's a shadow and now the bush and now your mind's like, oh, it's tigers coming for me. That is your imagination, but you're not in the driver's seat when those things are happening. It's your subconscious. And that's the work to be done with imagination, is to try and pull it from the subconscious into the conscious. It's to consciously imagine versus allowing the subconscious imagination to run wild.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once you do that, once you bring the consciousness part into the imagination, now you're guiding where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't mean you're a great driver. I mean, everyone's going to drive in a different way, right? So we can't control that.
Yeah, if you can tame the dragon, you can ride it all around the sky, all over the sky, and you're going to have like
that's it. I would like to propose that there's nothing wrong with fear, as there's nothing wrong with happiness. And one of the exhilarating things about life is to stand halfway between this idea of absolute joy and absolute fear, and see them wholly and see them completely, because they are equally as motivating forces and equally as beautiful forces. We have learned so much during these traumatic times over the last couple of years that I would dare say that they have been some of the most important years of my life. And therefore, the fear that's been prevalent in society is actually motivating us to change, to open our eyes, to awaken. So I would put forth the notion that the imagination, whether in fear or whether in joy or ecstasy, are equally as potent, are equally as powerful.
Well, they do move you, that's for
sure. They absolutely do. And so, we tend to fear itself. And there is no point in doing that. We must embrace it, would be my opinion. We must look at it. We must evaluate it. And in doing so, you'll find that exploration, that imagination, that ends up absolutely moving it and transforming it, transmuting it into something that is different. Yeah, and another thing to look at. There's no good, there's no bad. It's just beingness. It's just the imagination and being. So I think these are some of the things that go through my mind when it comes to imagination, certainly.
And that's like you're bringing me into perception. That's a whole other topic. It's a whole other thing. But they're so tied into each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, Iman, you mentioned, let's figure out the definitions between assumption, predictions, imagination. And they're not all that dissimilar. So Sarah was talking about the higher faculties a couple of seconds ago, and this is our ability, the gifts that we've been given to be able to imagine, to be able to use our will to hold on to something and to focus, to be able to use our memory to recall something and, again, imagine that recollection. We've been able to, the other faculties include intuition, so this feeling, this knowingness that something is happening. And we've also got perception as well, the ability to see things from different viewpoints. But let me tell you this, none of these faculties are independent of another. The same way that assumption and prediction and imagination are not independent concepts. In fact, they're one and the same. So think about this for a couple of seconds. We can smell, right? And we can also breathe with our nose. We would think those are two totally different things. The ability to breathe keeps us alive. The ability to smell is a sense that allows us to enjoy and appreciate the world. And yet, they're one and the same. It's the same operation. So when we talk about the faculties and when we look at prediction, when we look at memory, when we look at perception, are we talking about something that's different and individual? Actually, we're not. We're talking about the same darn thing. And so this is why we can use our imagination in memory. We can use our imagination to shift perspectives and see something from a perspective in which we've never seen the world before. That is imagination. We can use our will to hold on to something fiercely or to focus on a singular goal using our imagination as the tool. And so every single one of those facets, prediction, assumption, it's all imagination. I've asked you to substitute the word.
You're using different parts to make up what you're imagining, right? Like in assumption, you're using pieces that you've gathered or actually from your past typically. Whereas a prediction, you have like, you're basing it on factual events, but you're still pretending. You can't predict the future. It's an imagination. It's anything that's not this moment right now is imagination.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
I would say that a while back we went through the exercise of substituting the word imagination for possibility. And now let's do that same exercise and let's substitute the word for thought. They're all thoughts. Your memory, your perception, your imagination, your will, your intuition, they're all thoughts. So what does this tell us? What does this tell us? It tells us that these higher faculties are something that is greater, something that is united, a oneness, a beingness. That's where they come from. And here's another really important question. Iman, where is the imagination? If I asked you that, what would you answer? Where is the imagination?
Where is the imagination, or where is it coming from?
Yeah, both. Both.
And where is it? Where does it sit?
Mm-hmm. Let's say what I see, where it's coming from, and how I see these things, all this prediction, imagination, assumption, and all the brain games, let's say, thoughts. It get back to the ego topic. When you know that you are something somehow beyond the ego, and you are just one, if you can just imagine one step beyond the brain, and you see yourself as a guitarist, let's say, someone who played the guitar, and the brain is the instrument, and every single note is one of this concept: imagination, assumption, prediction, exaggeration, filtering, all these brain games. And you are the one who is playing this song, and you are the one who choose each note. If you choose them like in the right place in the right time, you can create a beautiful music. These are possibilities, as you said, that you are bringing them to life by your experience of life and how you use this instrument. And but so imagine you are playing a guitar without no experience. You're just trying to make some noises. Wow, if it was like a violin, that would be terrible. But yeah, I see that. That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, isn't it? And I was watching some of the comments there as you were speaking, and someone, I believe it was Yasmin, pointed out that it doesn't sit anywhere. The imagination isn't a place. It's not a thing. It's boundless. And this is what positivity, your guest before us, was talking about, the boundless nature of imagination. And so it would seem to me that the imagination exists in a field, and that field is omnipresent. That field is absolutely everywhere, which then makes sense in terms of the infinitude of possibilities that exist. And so, we are close to certain things in our field based on what our habits are, based on our predilections, based on our memories, based on all of those things. And we can grab from the field these possibilities, these imaginations. And yet, as we train ourselves more and more and more to trust in our ability to be part of the infinite, that is when we see the expansion of our imagination and the ability to go further into the field to grab these possibilities and begin, as Einstein did, to find possibilities that nobody else sees. And that's the beauty of the imagination. What Sarah and I wanted to bring to this session tonight was to discuss everybody on this call's ability to do what I've just talked about, to be able to stretch and expand those possibilities so that you are creating more joy and more love and providing more service, all from this very compassionate place of imagination that doesn't necessarily exist anywhere except possibly in a field that is omnipresent and everywhere. I mean, it's the most beautiful thought. So why don't we do it more often? I would love to know.
I noticed that one of our friends said, so after all, is imagination good or not? I would say that I still believe that imagination is like, let's say, an super fast phone or like a very high-end technology that you can pick your phone and call the universe. You can call the God, whoever you believe in. This is your tool. So when you pick the phone, it's on you what to ask and how to see things and how to order your pizza or whatever you want. You're asking something, and use your imagination, use your phone to ask and see and live it, and live it and bring it to your life. It's not that imagination itself, it's a tool, but how you use it is going to make it good or bad, I believe.
It's great if you're having a crisis or you're having issues in a relationship, at work, with your children, with your own self, take the time to just imagine different scenarios and push outside of the boundaries of like possible, impossible, financial, like forget all of that stuff. Literally allow yourself to think of options, think of different ways of solving your problem. And again, it's like, when they say brainstorm or like spitball, like literally do that when you're in those situations, because you just don't know. And if you don't allow yourself to pull these ideas and possibilities, how are you supposed to find what's going to work?
Well, let's ask ourselves a question, actually, Sarah. It's a really interesting question. How does one order a pizza with toppings that they've never had on it before? Because I would say that most of us that order pizzas, think about it for just a couple of seconds. The pizzas you order, are you basically ordering the same pizza every time? Are you putting the same toppings on it? Because I am. I generally am putting the same things on it. And if I'm not, I'm making a pizza one day and then something the next day, but I'm not putting anything new on it. I'm not reinventing pizza.
Right.
So what would we have to do, Sarah, in order to come up with the next revolutionary pizza? What would that require?
Thought.
Right.
Creation, just having fun and exploring different avenues and probably failing a million times and trying different recipes. And that's the thing about the imagination is if you just go, oh, I'm just going to come up with these ideas. And obviously, we're all intelligent humans here. So you can look after your ideas. And, if you're like, I'm going to fly to the sky wearing a pink lycra suit and I'm going to turn into a unicorn. It's probably not going to happen, but write it down anyway. Who cares? And then look at it again. And then, you can sort of tweak these things and find one you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But if I think about it this way, I can maybe get really close to where I was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's step one. I've at least accomplished something. I've moved the needle just that little bit more by allowing new thoughts to come in, by allowing things that I may not believe are possibilities for me. And all of a sudden, now I have a new path that's opened up that I never ever considered or thought of. Mm-hmm. Like even for us, our lives, we had to just do that and allow the creative process to take over, to show us where to go.
So it's funny because I've said this a couple of times on my podcast, Expand your field of possibilities. And this is probably one of the most important things I can say to anybody this evening, is expand your field of possibilities by diving into curiosity with reckless abandon. Because there is a link between curiosity and imagination. The more curious we are, the more we discover. And the more we discover, the more we push those fields of possibilities. So if the imagination is nestled in a field that is absolutely everywhere, and we indulge our curiosity, what do you think is going to happen? Well, you're going to start to put different things on your pizza, won't you? Mm-hmm. You're going to start to enlarge and expand those fields of possibilities. Mm-hmm. And so I say this quite often to people. If you want to see more in the world, then expand those possibilities, those fields. Expand your field by being curious, by using your imagination, and do it with love. Follow your heart. Your heart will tell you what you want to explore. And as you explore, the spiral will continue to move and create, and it never ends. There is no end to what we can imagine and what we can create. There is no end whatsoever.
And the time we're living in right now, honestly, my belief would be we should all be really taking some time to imagine from the place of the heart and think of ways to be of more of service in our communities, more of service with, even if it's just your family, if it's just your spouse, if it's your brother, your sister, if it's one person, just find ways to show up differently, to show up in a way that you never thought you could.
I love that. I mean, different actions equal different results, right? Of course. So isn't that it? Like, do something different tomorrow. Wake up and do something different.
Or wake up with a different thought. If you know, I don't know, there was a time in my life where I woke up and it was like, I thought I was exhausted before I even woke up. Like, my first thought before I even woke up was I'm going to be exhausted. So of course you wake up exhausted. It's my first thought. From every time I wake up in the night, I think about how exhausted I'm going to be in the morning. I still do that, but I'm working on it.
I think we lost.
Try to start the day with a fresh thought, a positive thought, a thought of how you wish to show up in that day. And even if you don't accomplish it, don't worry about it. Just start with that thought, with that imagination of how I want to show up in the world too.
I've got another question for you, Iman, and it has to do with Sarah's idea of waking up with a new thought. How do you create poetry? Where does it come from? And where does it come from?
Most of it is, I don't know if I'm not equipped with the right word for that. Maybe intuition. I just have this urge to write and to express a feeling, and somehow, like, out of blue it comes. But I use the tool of imagination to see the scene, to feel the pain, to feel the joy, the whatever I'm talking about. I feel it completely. That is the best way I use my imagination. I see myself, picture myself in that scene, and try to describe it in my poetry. And Sarah, when you talk about thoughts, and I think it's important to point this circle of imagination, thoughts, actions. If you can control your imagination, if you can, again, I believe if you can, let's say, manipulate it, because I believe it's a tool to target positive thoughts, and then your positive thoughts will lead to positive action, and that's how you will circle back to what you imagined. Because so then your circle is complete, and you see what I imagined before. Now it came to life. Yeah. It's all about positive mindset, that how to imagine, what to think about, how to use this ability, of like amazing ability of your brain to expand your horizons, as you mentioned, like limitlessly.
I mean, and I guess also nurture your awareness. So if you don't really want to work on imagining yet, then maybe just work on being aware of when your subconscious has now chosen to bring imaginative thoughts into your mind, so that at least you can't be the victim. Like, so maybe you're not creating the thoughts, you're just letting them come, but you're aware that it's imagination. It's not manifest into reality yet. So disconnect that part. Don't allow it to, if it's a negative thing, say you're imagining, disassociate from the emotional response, because you're aware it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's a possibility, but it hasn't come to fruition yet.
And what is real? I mean, that's the thing. They say, be careful what you wish for, because when you wish for or when you imagine something as whatever it is, let's just make it negative example.
Yeah.
If someone, so you imagine, like someone imagined that her boyfriend is cheating on him. So boyfriend is cheating on her, and then you grow this idea in your mind, and then you start looking for evidence, and you start to be grumpy, and you start to shift all your thoughts and all your actions based on this imagination. You will find the evidence that you're looking for, because your brain now filtering anything else, and oh, I got it, this is it. And then you will push the reality of your relationship, whatever it is, toward this fact, and eventually he might or he might not, cheat. And then that's the sad part, is when he does cheat on you, you see it as victory to back up your first imagination. Aha, victory, I got it, I knew it. And this is a negative cycle. So the next imagination, even negative again, I have a victory experience now, so let's do this again. So whatever you put your intention and your attention into, it is a really high possibility that it bring it to life. But
that's typically a subconscious. So that thing if you're imagining something like that, it would typically be the subconscious that is doing that. Usually consciously you don't want to have those thoughts. It would definitely be the mind is running, you're not controlling it. That's my belief anyway, for me, because when I have had the whatever you're saying, been there, done that. Luckily, and we're still together. And
as your fellow Canadian, Dr. Peterson, he says that you don't get what you aim at. You don't get what you don't aim at. You might get what you do aim at, and the more you aim, the more you get better at aiming. So if you keep focusing on negative and you're just looking for the evidence, you probably, not this time, but next time, but you will definitely bring it to life. And so
the gift of imagination comes with tremendous responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
as do all the gifts.
We can do three things with thought that I'm aware of. Perhaps we can do more. We can accept a thought, we can reject a thought, and we can create a thought. And so in the example that you were giving, Iman, when we have these feelings and when we feel overwhelmed and the imagination is running wild and we're fearful and we're thinking of things that are negative and will be problematic in our lives, then we have the ability to be able to reject that thought. I categorically reject it, see you later, bye. It's when we decide to focus our energy on those thoughts that we begin to crystallize the thoughts and actually transform them into manifestation. Whether that's a physical manifestation of something that's created, or whether it's a physical manifestation of an action that happens. When we place our energy on something, on thought and focus, and leave it there, we are creators.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that ability to be able to create things that are negative in our lives, just as we have the ability to accept thoughts that are unbelievable. You go to work and you say, what if I could become the vice president here. And you hang on to that thought for a little while. I'm not that dumb. I've been here for a while. People like my ideas. Why couldn't I be the vice president here? And the longer you hold on to that thought and nurture it and provide it energy and give it love and begin to believe in it and begin to let your imagination free and see yourself in the position of that vice president position, you will manifest it. Just as you will manifest cancer if you believe wholeheartedly that you have it. It's a dual-edged sword, as you said. It's a great responsibility to be able to imagine and to be able to have thought. And of course, the third thing we can do with thought is we can create it. How unbelievable that I can think about a flying monkey right now with a lightsaber in its hand going all over the world. We can do anything. And I would say that with the imagination, the trick is to let it go. You know, it's kind of like meditation. You know, so many people meditate these days, and it's like they're fixated on it. Oh, I must meditate. I must do this. And I have to like clear my mind, and it's got to be zero. That's not going to work for you. A successful meditation is the person who ceases to be the meditator. You cease to be the meditator. And so when we cease to try and imagine and we just let it unfold and we let it happen from this place of creation, that's when the truly magical happens. That's when it happens. From this place of nothingness and this place of everythingness, that's where the imagination is. That's the power of it.
I wanted to add something when you were talking about your thoughts, and if you're thinking of something negative, you're imagining a negative outcome. So everything that happens there's a reason, whether it's conscious, subconscious. If you're having those feelings, you're having those fears. So for example, you have a fear of your partner cheating on you. Yes, you can reject the thought. Yes, you can create a new one, all of those things. But if you had that thought, it came to you, there is a reason. Whether or not that person is cheating, there is something that's unresolved. There's something in you that your soul gave you a message of, this doesn't feel right. But it's probably something you need to work on, not your partner.
No, I love this idea. There is you know, your brain brings you this idea. What if he's cheating? Okay. So if you know to master your mind, master your brain, and you know that you're not your thoughts, you're not this voice in your head. It's just presenting the idea for you to consider. Now you say, okay, brain, what is your evidence to back up with this idea? This. Is there anything else you're not telling me? Your brain is a tool. It will answer. Yeah, so, you know, like this one, maybe that. And so you gather all the information. So, okay, brain, let's talk about it tonight. Let's you know, I'm busy now. Let's talk to your brain. Come back at 6, we talk about it.
Yeah.
And then you have the all evidence. Okay, now you reach out to your partner. Okay, this is my challenge these days, and these are my thoughts, and is there anything else I'm missing? So let's talk about this. This is beautiful communication. You know, instead of going through this horrible, painful circle. Yeah.
Examine your fears. Examine what it is.
Face your fears. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is why they can be beautiful things. When we have problems, when we face challenges, when we are fearful, and we confront them, we look at them, we examine them, there's always a path. There's always a path somewhere else. There's development to be had. There is experience to be had, wisdom to be acquired. It exists in everything.
I mean,
in the beauty and
what
in the fear.
growth is there in everything being always status quo perfect?
Yes, I agree.
You have a perfect life,
Yes,
and everything is always great. You're not growing. You're not expanding. You're not being pushed. You're not evolving. Like, it's completely natural. Like, you're gonna go through the highs and the lows and the fears and the excitements. But it's all in that mindset of understanding that it does not have to define you. It does not have to be the end all be all that you're having a crappy day. Like, yeah, you're gonna have crappy days, but guess what? Maybe tomorrow's amazing. And
C'est la vie.
You're here, c'est la vie, exactly.
It's not supposed to be all fun all day, every day. This is life, goes up and down. It's not there to, it doesn't mean to hurt you or like teasing you. It's the way it is.
It's the way it is. And the more you can, I saw one of your posts that you're saying, if you can disassociate from the outcome, always like wanting a particular outcome, if you don't do that and you just go about your day from your heart, go about your day with no attachment to the outcome of what's going to happen, how could you, like, it's so much more difficult to be unhappy and to be upset and to be angry.
Yeah, when you know you did everything you could. But Alex mentioned about meditation. I want to know if we have a meditation session as well today and tonight or not.
I don't, but I could potentially try and guide you guys I've never done that.
Yeah, I know that many of my friends here, they just want to listen to your voice. So just be my guest. You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with that. If do you guys want a little meditation?
I would love one.
Yeah.
I want you to guide meditation. I'd love to just sit there and guide you through. But yeah, do we want to do that now or?
We still have like about 15 minutes if you guys want to. I don't know how long.
Probably only be it'll be a short one because I'm going to be inventing it. So when we have like 5 minutes, I can.
Okay. Improvising, right?
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, this is it. So, yeah, beautiful. Your imagination. You use your imagination in a good way to walk us through your mind and show us everything's happening. Not everything is happening in your mind. Like hopefully, to the selective part of your yeah. Let's do this way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's really important when it comes to creation and actually, like creating abundance in your life. Think about it. The chair that you guys are sitting on, like, where were this chair before they come to life? Someone start to imagine them and then, put thoughts and then actions. And now here we go. This is the chair. The gardens, everything, like it was. Where were they before? This is the secret.
You raised the best point ever. I'm so excited that you brought this up. Where were these chairs before? Where were they? They're made out of wood. They were a tree before. And imagination, I forgot to mention this, and I should have mentioned this. Imagination is rampant in nature. In fact, I would dare say that most ideas in life come from nature. And guess what else? We are nature. I mean, think about one of the greatest inventors ever, Leonardo da Vinci. The amount of inventions, the paintings, the thought, the poetry, the art, everything that he did. I mean, he was really the creator of the helicopter. And where did that come from? Where did that inspiration come from? It came from nature. It came from a seed spinning out of a tree all the way down to the ground. And when we look at technology today, all we're doing with regard to technology is we are emulating nature. We are doing our best to emulate nature in the best way that we possibly can, and yet we can never quite do it as well as nature can. And so there's a correlation between nature inspiration and imagination as well. When we get out in nature, when we start to observe, when we are curious, when we look at the way that trees are made and leaves fall and change color, many of the greatest inventions of our time, of our civilization, have been a result of being at one with nature. Isn't that beautiful? And so if we are ever void of imagination, if we are ever in a dark place and choose and want to be more curious and foster the imagination, one of the things that we can do is simply to walk outside and take a walk through the woods, climb a mountain, take a hike, engage with wildlife. Because what you will find is boundless imagination, unbelievable possibilities, inspiration. And these things are all tied together. Life is imagination. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. What was that chair before? It's a darn tree. It's the tree that inspired the chair.
There's nothing.
Right?
There's nothing man-made without imagination.
Yeah, it's, you cannot say things come from, from vacuum, from nothing. There must be something which is the imagination, and they bring them to, the life that we see from this physical point of view. Yeah, uh, and I love that. So there is, I want to just jump back to this spiritual point of view, that there is unlimited possibilities for imagination, but there is just one right outcome for you. Keep imagining. That's my thought. I think I just do keep imagining everything every day, but I know that there's just one right path for me. And if it's not coming to the word, if it's not coming to, you don't exactly know what is good for you until you reach it. And this is all about, among all these endless possibilities, this is, we they're sitting here tonight in right moment, this moment, this, right now.
Yeah.
And we need to have this belief in the designer, that who is now putting all this, let's say, possibilities all together to bring this to life. And that's the point of, although there are limitless imaginations, we need to know there is just one right way for us. This is just one right outcome for us. And use your imagination and believe in it, and you trust the process and accept the outcome. That would be my.
Do you mean like that any outcome will be the right outcome? Like whatever is the outcome of your life is as it should have been.
You never know what is right or wrong. You mean good or bad, because the way that you think about them make them good or bad. You just need to believe that this is it. So I think this is you. So let's say I want to be. I might just sit here and imagine myself being like an NBA star. This is not my thing. If I keep manifesting it, imagining it, that was funny. I was like about 4 years old, and I was watching a soccer game with my dad, and it was this black guy. He was so strong, and I adore him. How he just doing all this stuff. I don't even remember who was. He was like in an English game, I guess, in English club, and I was like so excited. I said, "Dad, when I grow up, I want to be a black football player." Yeah, so this is not your thing, that you cannot be. I wanted to be. I might be, wishing to be a football player, but there are things that it's not. It's not about imagination. I think we need to bring this term of. I don't know if that's like a completely against the concept, but what about reasonable imagination? How does that work?
To me, that goes against the because if you put the word reasonable in front of it, you're already deciding what is possible and not possible. You've made a decision. Nope, this is not possible. And you probably can't turn black today. But maybe if you practiced and you went to the gym and you were so in love with soccer or football, it's possible you could have played, but again, if there's no inspired action, it was just an imagination. It was a thought, and you did no harm in having that thought. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But those thoughts where you attach the desire and when it hits you in your soul, when something you come up with in your mind hits you in the soul, you feel it, and then it's up to you to either manifest that and follow that or not. You don't have to. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people, they set the parameters. Oh no, yeah, I used to want to be an actress. And unfortunately, I walked into, and I'm not saying I could have done it. I'll never know that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I couldn't have, but I'm the reason that I'll never find out. It's not the universe. It's me. I didn't put enough inspired action into it. I didn't. And it was because I had limiting beliefs. I stopped myself from imagining further to allow myself to take the steps I would have needed to take to get there. And so, to me, putting a limit on it adds more double-edged sword, because the whole point of the imagination is that you want to keep it as boundless as possible, even though we live in the realm of limited possibility. The imagination is where the unlimited possibility lies, and you have to leave it open if you want to have the option for anything crazy to happen, to come into light. Like, imagine when there was no electricity. How could anyone think that electricity should even be a thing? That there will be lights in people's houses, they'll flick, and then a light will turn on. If you put limitations, at the time when that didn't exist and people had candles, you'd be like, that guy's crazy. He thinks we're going to have like electric wires and things are going to go through. It's crazy. It was crazy back then, but it's not crazy.
And I would like to challenge you, Iman. I'm going to challenge you for fun here. So we're talking about your imagination and the concept of reasonable imagination versus unreasonable imagination, I suppose. And I would say that calling imagination reasonable is like calling water dry and saying, oh yeah, dry water, no problem. It doesn't work. The imagination is not something. It's not tangible.
Right.
It's not quantifiable, because the imagination is everything. And so when you say to me, Alex, I could never be a black soccer player, I might say to you, sure you can. Absolutely you can.
Just haven't figured out how yet.
Oh, I could figure out how immediately. When we imagine, and let's do an imagination exercise right now.
Mhm.
I would like you to think about being a pilot in an airplane, sitting in the left-hand seat, just about to take off. Air traffic control says to you, you're clear to take off, and you take the throttle and you move it back, and the plane starts running down the runway, and it's now going faster and faster, and everyone in their seats are moving back, and you're just about to go into the air, and you take off, and that feeling of weightlessness for just a second, that's as real as the conversation we're having right now. Because science has proven that when we imagine things, good or bad, we produce the chemicals that are associated with it happening in what we'll call real life. We can create dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, melatonin, all of these different natural chemicals by simply imagining something. So why can't we imagine ourselves being a star black soccer player? Why not? It's just a different dimension. You're living it in another dimension. And this is the beauty of reality, is that everyone on the planet has a different reality. No two people have the same reality. There are infinite amounts of realities. Therefore, the reality in your mind and the 10 realities that we're thinking about simultaneously coexist, giving you the possibility to do anything, be anything, and accomplish anything you want in life at any time. Because in fact, there is no time. It exists now. It exists in one single point now. And so that's what I would say about this possibility of reasonable imagination versus unreasonable imagination. And I'm just having some fun, Iman. I'm just goofing around here now, but I feel it that way. I think that there is more to the imagination than we quite realize, and all possibilities do exist there.
Mhm. Well, that was some beautiful mental game that we did, and I just it just remembered the concept of pretty much like the movie Matrix.
Yes.
The body that we are in, if we get to this level of awareness that this is not who we actually are, this is an avatar that we choose. We didn't choose, like, I don't know how we ended up in this form of avatar to go through this level here. And when as you know, in the movie Matrix, the Neo was sleeping there, and another world he is doing this jujitsu, or the other world is doing things that he never done, and experience things that he has no idea about. But in deeper level, when you believe and when you reach, it's not about just the belief, because all the things that you mentioned, these are thoughts that create, that just stimulates the hormones and the mediators that you feel, because emotions and feelings are generated by thoughts, right? So you recreated this in this avatar, and you exactly how they program Neo in the movie. But so in real life, when you reach to the level of unity, that you know that you are the one who is playing that game, you are everywhere and part of everyone, and you can see this, you can feel it, this beyond your just being you, and now you're part of the whole, and now you feel as a unity. I mean, that is that I'm using my imagination. I'm using my imagination, but I think in that way, in instance, I mean, in 1 second, I can be everyone and part of everything, whatever I want, whatever I want to do. That's the way that you can master this matrix.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And this is the art of compassion, is to be everyone and to be everything at the same time. And only then can we truly understand, using our mental faculties that we were talking about earlier, by shifting our perception, employing empathy, employing compassion, to actually be all things at once, to be in an infinitude of realities. There are science experiments where they'll take a group of people and they'll teach them how to build a fence. And they'll tell them, okay, you're not allowed to try it, but we want you to imagine it for a week. I want you to imagine putting the screws in the fence. I want you to imagine using a hammer. I want you to imagine the brackets over here holding the cross beams to the posts. And then they'll take a second group and they'll say, here's the directions. We want you to make a fence. Well, the people that actually practiced in their mind for a week can build it twice as fast as the other people, because they created a reality. They lived a reality that was constructed, that was imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And those skills they became better at by simply existing in a reality that we think is not really real. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, it's equally as real as the one we're in right now.
So what is real? Real is a perception. Like, what is real?
Right. Everything and nothing, Iman. Everything and nothing. And just like your example from Neo, which part of it was real, which part of it wasn't. None of it, all of it.
Yeah.
Same darn thing.
It's like, or when you're sleeping at night, you're still here. You're still very much, no, but it's true. Like, you're asleep. But would you say you're not part of reality?
I would say you're living in a reality.
You are completely living in a reality.
Probably multiple realities, yes.
So there are, in any moment, multiple layers of realities happening at once. This is a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Yeah, reality could be another topic.
Your reality, my reality, even sitting right next to Alex and living with him, we have complete different realities. Complete different realities.
True.
I could never be in his head. I have no idea of all the conversations and the thoughts and the imagination, and same for me. Like, it's such a private space that we have, and that we can nurture in whatever way we want.
Speaking of which, wouldn't it be wild if we actually could exist in one another's spaces, exist in one another's minds? And I do think we're heading in that direction. I think before the end of our lifetime, we will be able to exercise that type of compassion and empathy to the degree that we will actually feel what one another feels. And there won't be a language, there will be a knowingness of what the other person is experiencing. Mm-hmm. I see that happening. I really do. And
I came to that conclusion that the universal language is not language.
Correct. Yes. It's flawed. Language is flawed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you communicate from love in your actions, there is no need for words. You can easily communicate with people just with your actions and your person.
Well, and Sarah, look at all of the beautiful people here with emojis and with some things that they're writing. I mean, this is communication. This is language. This is love. This is, and I feel it. Like everybody here who's Gypsy Soul 414, Green Hearts. Like, how can you not feel something like that? How it's you just put energy into the world, and I felt that energy through hearts. So language is flawed. We share realities. We're moving towards a time and a place where we will be able to coexist as one and truly transcend this illusion that we are separate from one another. And the imagination is going to play a big part in bringing us there as we expand our horizons, our abilities, our possibilities.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you so much, guys, for this talk. And I'm so glad that I found you guys. I'm so glad that I have this. I love you too. Yeah, I'm so happy to have these talks every Monday. If possible, we continue having them. And Sarah, I know that you have an announcement about your next, our
Are we doing
session
11?
together on 11. I'm okay with that if you want. I mean, we can arrange that
I
one.
didn't know your schedule, but okay. So we have set a date for the cacao ceremony. It's going to be on the 11th of April. That's a Monday. Is that what we want to do it on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Do we know the time yet, or do you want to go over that?
Time is one of my biggest illusions, as you know. So I don't know yet. That would be maybe a Monday afternoon. Yeah, one Monday afternoon. Yeah.
Okay, so the 11th, it will be in the afternoon. The price for you, beautiful souls, is so regular is 40. It's going to be 25 for this group. If you don't get cacao, so if you're able to get cacao from, where you are, depending what country, if you're US and Canada, I can definitely ship to you. I could probably ship outside as well, but because it's food, I would have to look at the legalities and everything. So I don't know if I can get it to you for that date. So definitely, I was gonna say I'll send an email out, but do you have people's emails?
No. I just, first of all, thank you for this beautiful, generous discount for you creating this session specifically for my people. Thank you so much for that. And I will definitely keep them updated. And thank you for taking care of all these details and how you do this. And I have no idea how you just send emails. I still use email as one word thing. Okay, I respond to emails with one word. Yes, send.
What I'll do is I'll send you the details.
Yeah, so we definitely will keep you updated. I will let you know how things will be. But so be stay tuned for the April 11th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I'll have a link on the website, and I'll call it a name that we can all know what it is. Maybe I'll pop in this week, and we can just do the final details with everybody. I'll just hop on quickly, and
awesome.
It would be so awesome if you guys want to join.
So that would be a session pretty much like this. And
Rita wants Skittles on her pizza. I love that. You were listening. That's awesome. You're awesome.
All
My son would love that pizza.
I mean, don't mess up with my pizza, please. Just don't mess with my pizza. Yeah. So are we gonna have the meditation thing as well?
Sure.
Okay. Let's do this.
Okay. I feel like, can we turn this big light off?
Of course, yes, absolutely.
I don't know. I need to get a little cozier.
Let's see what I can do.
All right.
Better.
Okay, I'm just moving closer so that you guys can hear me, because sometimes when I'm doing these, I tend to talk more soft and I don't notice I do that. So, okay. Can everyone hear me? Just do thumbs up in the comments if you can hear me. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So let's just start by breathing. So that we can calm ourselves, find some peace. Just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And if it calls you, allow your eyes to become heavy and close. And from here, just become a witness. A witness to how you feel if you're sitting in your chair, how your body feels, how your breath feels when it comes in and your body expands. And since we're talking about imagination today, let's imagine a few things here. So as you breathe in, imagine this oxygen going into your lungs and then into your bloodstream, really feeding all the cells of your body. And imagine this, as these cells are going to your fingertips and your toes and the top of your head. Imagine that they have these little mini brooms and they're sweeping your insides, looking for any trapped trauma or anger or things that you know you need to release that no longer serve you. So this air, with every inhale, bringing more power to these little cells so they can keep cleaning and transmuting and transforming these spaces that they find. And as you exhale, really releasing all this trapped, yucky, gucky stuff. And with every release, feeling a little bit lighter, feeling a little bit more alive, feeling you have a little bit more space inside of you for vitality, for beautiful thoughts, for anything that you want to experience. Keep breathing in, continuing to cleanse. Now imagine that you're dropping into your heart space. You want to make that space really, really, really beautiful. Imagine it's the most beautiful space you've ever been in. And really look at the details around you. Are there walls? What color are they? Is there a ceiling? Go around this little space and add little decorations to your soul's content. Really make it as cozy as you want. Is it peaceful? Is it perfect? I'm going to ask you, how far did you push your imagination here? You think you could have pushed a little bit further? Because you know in this space, you're totally safe. There's no one judging you. There's no one looking inside, peeking in to see what are you imagining. So I'm going to challenge you to really, really, really allow yourself to push further than you ever have in your imagination. Don't hold on to it. Just let it go. And this time, as you're in your heart space, I want you to imagine something even crazier. I want you to imagine how you can be of more service to the world. Imagine yourself just giving of yourself in a way that feels in such alignment with who you are. And see that. What are you doing? What are you providing? Is it a service? Is it a product? Maybe you do hair and makeup. So if you were in hair and makeup, imagine how you could best serve your clients in a way that is just the most beautiful expression of who you are. Do that for whatever it is that it gets your soul ignited. And picture it, really picture it. Picture yourself being of service, being your best self. What does that look like? What a beautiful thought. And now with this thought, know that you can just bring one thing into action. You create a momentum that brings you a little bit closer to that person that you want to show up as, your best self. Think of that one thing. Imagine it. Be honest with yourself. And then see yourself actioning it. How would you go about it? If you don't know, just imagine different realities, different scenarios. Don't get caught up in the, oh, it's never going to happen, or that's just crazy. Don't worry about it. It's just imagination. Have fun. Feel that expansion of your soul. And now know that this is something you could always come back to when you want some inspiration, when you don't know what you should do to move forward. Just try to imagine and just think of one small thing, because sometimes it's that smallest thing that you do that will set into motion a completely new reality for you. I invite you to do this often. Come here in this space of freedom and beauty and creation. And see what comes of it. Now as we bring a little bit of motion back to our fingers and our body, we thank ourselves for being here and for allowing our minds to have a little bit of fun and to go on this little tiny journey with us tonight. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes with this beautiful comfort that imagination is just one thought away. And thank you for letting me guide you in this short meditation. I don't know what that was like, but I loved it.
Oh, I was doing my client's nails now. I was in the middle of the nail and you called me out saying, wait a minute, I still have 2 fingers. There's 2 fingers left. Yeah, so
Sorry, Mom.
2 fingers left.
the 2 fingers left, and my client was so like, are you going to leave? Oh, no, just I've got to do this fast. Let's just do this.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
That was awesome. I love that.
Well, thank you so much. That was amazing, and that was so absolutely needed.
Thanks for indulging.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, so guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am looking forward to our next session, and definitely will be awesome, and your topics are amazing, and I really enjoy talking to you both. Thank you. Alex, I know that you have a podcast, and I know that it's not gonna. I mean, so if you can just send me more detail about your podcast, I can put it in the caption when I'm posting this. If you have a Instagram page, I don't know if you have a separate Instagram for your podcast.
Yeah, it's called Almost Enlightened, and you can find it anywhere. I've got a website, Wwwalmostenlightenedinc.life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll send you details, Iman, for sure.
I'm posting it right now as I got it.
Almost Enlightened. Let's see.
Almost Enlightened. I think I did it right. .life.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pin this one here to do the rest of this. But yeah, I would definitely, if you text it to me, I will put it on the caption when I'm uploading it on YouTube and on Instagram.
You're
And
awesome. Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys. It's a pleasure to talk to you, of course, and it was so mind refreshing, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. You're a fabulous human being, and thank you everybody tonight for
Thank you.
participating with us. I wish I could have just read all the comments. There's so many
cool.
comments. I know.
What fabulous people. Thank you. Thank you. From our hearts to yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a beautiful night, and talk to you soon again. Thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Wow. What a beautiful session. How did you like it? How did you enjoy it? Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Of course, it was amazing. And that was my promise. Mondays are for emotional, mental, and spiritual health. And it will be. And I'm so glad that I found this friends that we can talk and we can contemplate. And it's not about reaching to the conclusion altogether. Now this is it, and there's nothing else. You need to open your heart, mind, and listen, and converse, and learn, and be open to all these new point of views. Thank you all for watching me. Before we end the session, I just want to mention a couple of things that I usually at the end of the session. First of all, tomorrow we're going to talk about more of like physical health. As you know, Tuesdays I talk about Juice Plus more often. And if you want to know more about Juice Plus, you can use my bio. There's a link, the link tree, and you can send me a WhatsApp message directly. I think this is the best way. If I know that there are some fake accounts that are pretending to be me, they're asking for information, please be aware that this is not me. I have just one WhatsApp, and that is on my bio. So if you can reach me out and make everything clear. Also, if you want to know more about Juice Plus, if you want to work with me on Juice Plus, partner up, that's totally fine. If you live in Canada, US, Mexico, almost all around Europe, Dubai, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia, let me know. I will send you all the information, and you can make up your mind and make your decision about what exactly is Juice Plus. And if you want to make the best choice for your health, make sure that you don't miss tomorrow's session. We will definitely talk more about the details of Juice Plus. And one last thing, if you use this link on my bio and go to my link tree, the first one is vote for me. It is like a competition. I'm not so competitive. But that one just, it happens for me, and I accepted this. So if you take your time to vote for me, that's a free vote. If you create an account, you just need to put your email to create an account and make it vote for me. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for that. That being said, thank you so much for watching me. I hope you enjoyed. It was nice to see you all. And take care of yourself. Love each other or perish. Smile more. And here we go.